The movie is set in 2050. The world is a wasteland ravaged by an environmental catastrophe. Nova, one of the few survivors, trudges through the barren landscape, stumbling upon a bird skeleton, a stark reminder of what once was. Low on oxygen, she's called back to base. At base, Nova meets Simon, an elderly man confined to a wheelchair. They have a mission: journey to the past. With a robot companion Ad, Nova gears up. They blast off from a dust-choked, orange-hued Earth, shooting into a wormhole. The destination? The past. But they crash land in a dark, eerie forest. It's 2025. Night falls. Nas, a young boy on a quad bike, races through that woods. Ad spots him and pleads for help. Nova is unconscious and must be moved before she's found. They scramble to leave, but it's too late. Police officers spot them fleeing the crash site. What happens next is anyone's guess. Naz hauls Nova to a deserted factory. She's still out cold, but there's something freaky going on. She looks younger. Meanwhile, Detective Claire is grilling the officers about the crash and those escapees. She's sharp, connects the dots, and heads straight to Naz's place, the closest residence. No Naz, no problem. Claire's instincts tell her to check the old factory. Naz gets back to the factory just as Nova wakes up. Suddenly, Claire bursts in. Startled, spots her spacesuit and hears the screech of her stolen car peeling away. No car, no time to waste. Claire hops on Naz's quad bike and zooms to a military base. By the next day, she's sharing the wild findings from the crashed spaceship with the military. The kicker? The fingerprints trace back to a girl named Nova, who's supposed to be 12 in this timeline. Heads are spinning. On the road, Nova's grilling Naz about the money. He talks about his dream of reuniting with his dad in South America. Then, bam, the car starts belching smoke. They're stranded until an old man, Alton, rolls up and offers a hand. At Alton's home, they meet his wife, Marion. While fixing the car, Marion dishes out dinner. She's sharp, though, noticing Nova's weird outfit and Nas's missing driver's license. A newsflash brands Nas as a kidnapper, but the old couple decides to help them. Just when things seem to calm down, Nova spots a police car. They scramble, diving into the cornfields as Alton stashes the stolen police car in his garage. But fate has a cruel twist. The car rolls back into view just as the cop arrives. Nova and Nas bolt, their escape more desperate than ever. Claire's eyes narrowed as she grilled present-day Nova. Her parents swore she'd been studying the night before, leaving Claire baffled. She scoured Nova's room but found nothing unusual, then decided to take the family in for deeper questioning. Suddenly, a scientist approached Claire with a bombshell. The fingerprints found in the spaceship matched Nova's. Was it cloning? Before Claire could process this, she got a call her stolen car had been found. Without wasting a second, she and her team sped to Alton's place. There, Claire grilled the couple about the car. Alton's lie crumbled when an officer produced Nas's clothes, triggering a massive manhunt for the escapees. Meanwhile, Nas and future Nova reached the edge of the forest. Nova's eyes locked on a soldier, and she instinctively drew her futuristic weapon, incapacitating him with a single shot. They hurried on, finally reaching a heavily guarded mansion. Dodging security, they slipped in through a vent. Inside, they eavesdropped on a high-stakes meeting about drilling in the North Pole. Nova turned to Nas, whispering for him to stay hidden as she boldly confronted that meeting. Recognizing a younger Simon among the attendees, Nova demanded a private talk. Simon refused, forcing her to air her dire warning in front of everyone. She warned them drilling the North Pole would unleash catastrophic methane levels. But Simon's father, a stern older man, laughed off her concerns, dismissing them as overblown. Security promptly escorted Nova and Nas out. As they were led away, Nova glanced back, seeing Simon get chewed out by his father for letting kids crash their meeting. The tension was electric, the stakes colossal, and Claire, hot on their trail, felt the pressure mounting. With every second ticking by, the search intensified, and the air grew thick with suspense. Claire's heart races as she watches the lethargic soldier. Something's off. She knows it. Her phone rings. It's the mansion's security guard, breathless, reporting runaways on the premises. Panic sets in. At the same time, future Nova and Nas race towards the sea, urgency in their every step. Nova finally reveals her truth to Nas. She's a 37-year-old woman from the future, rejuvenated through time travel. Nas stares, disbelief washing over him. But there's no time to dwell. Back at the mansion, Claire pores over surveillance footage, eyes glued to the screen. She catches sight of the escapees stashing something behind Simon's car. Alarm bells ring in her mind. She snatches her phone and dials the scientist, demanding confirmation on present Nova's status. The scientist's answer chills her. Present Nova is secure, meaning there are two Novas. Claire's instincts kick in. She must protect young Simon. She sends a SWAT team hurtling towards the billionaire's home. Meanwhile, the escapees, future Nova and Nas, arrive at Simon's grand residence. They've got Ad in tow and slip inside, hearts pounding. They find Simon meditating, oblivious to the storm brewing around him. Nova takes a deep breath and reveals their future connection, urging Ad to display a holographic message from Simon's future self. Simon watches, stunned, yet skepticism lingers in his eyes. He suspects a trap, a cruel trick to extort him. Tension crackles in the air. Simon's hand inches towards the phone to call the police, but Nas reacts first. In a flash, he grabs Nova's gun, aiming it squarely at Simon. The SWAT team bursts in, guns drawn, and Claire rushes in behind them, eyes wild with fear. A gunshot echoes through the room. Claire's heart stops. She sees Nova crumple to the floor and rushes to her side, dread clawing at her insides. But it's Ad. The loyal robot took the bullet meant for Nova, its circuits flickering, life ebbing away. Claire's breath catches as she realizes the extent of the danger they're all in. Ad's sacrifice isn't just a loss, it's a warning. Time is running out and every second counts. The future is here and it's more perilous than any of them could have imagined. Nas is frantic after the incident with Nova. He flees unnoticed, his heart pounding, until he reaches Alton's home. Bursting in, he blurts out the news. Nova has been captured by the police. The guilt is too much, and Nas crumbles, tears streaming down his face. Alton, seeing his distress, rushes to comfort him. Meanwhile, in a sterile hospital ward, future Nova awakens with Claire by her side. Claire, eyes wide with concern, asks if she can do anything to help. Nova, voice trembling, reveals her mission: to stop Simon's catastrophic plan. This revelation jolts Claire into action. She hurries to the base, seeking answers from the scientist about the possibility of time travel. He confirms it's theoretically possible. Suddenly, Ad, the robot under repair, springs to life. It seizes the futuristic firearm and bolts. Claire and the scientist scramble to catch it, but the robot eludes them. Back at the base, Claire spots young Simon. She rushes to him, explaining that their evidence supports Nova's story about being from the future. Before Simon can process this, his father intervenes. Under his father's stern gaze, Simon dismisses Nova's warnings as mere climate change paranoia. Outside, Nas spots Ad. He sprints to the robot, which collapses, its power drained. In a final effort, Ad informs Nas that Nova is in an army base and needs urgent help. The robot then shuts down completely. Fueled by determination, Nas grabs the futuristic gun Ad had been carrying and heads out, Alton at his side, driving him to the checkpoint. As they arrive, Nas is immediately arrested for questioning. His heart races with a mix of fear and resolve. Nova's fate hangs in the balance, and Nas knows he has to act fast. The weight of the futuristic gun in his hand is a stark reminder of the peril they face. He can't afford to fail. The clock is ticking, and the future depends on his next move. In the harsh, sterile light of the interrogation room, the tension is palpable. The colonel leans in, trying to probe Nas's intentions. But before he can get far, Nas's eyes narrow. In a heartbeat, he draws his gun. Bang! The colonel is down. Another soldier rushes in. Bang! He's down too. Blood pools on the cold floor. Nas doesn't waste a second. He dashes to the scientist, who's fumbling with Nova's spacesuit. Nas yanks it from him, sparing his life, for now. Nas sprints through the corridors, the heavy suit in his grip. He finds Nova, her face pale but determined. He helps her into the suit with urgent hands, every second counting. He lifts her effortlessly, her life depending on his strength and speed. They've made it to the spaceship at the army base. Inside, Nova's eyes glisten with gratitude. "You saved me," she whispers, her voice a lifeline in the chaos. Nas nods, his heart heavy as he watches her step out of the spaceship. It takes off, a fiery beacon against the night sky. Outside, Claire storms up to him, her face a mask of fury. "What have you done?" she demands. But Nas's eyes are locked on the sky. Silence. The spaceship hurtles through time, but Nova's mission has failed. The world remains a barren wasteland. Her arrival is discovered, and she's moved to a small container to rest. When she awakens, she's no longer the young girl from the past, but her adult self, meeting the weary eyes of future Simon. He's older now, regret etched into his features. "I'm sorry," he says. His words hang in the air, heavy with unspoken truths. Then out of nowhere, a child appears, calling her mother. Nova's heart races. Future Nas steps forward, claiming the child as theirs. Nova, with the child in tow, navigates the deadly wasteland. The boy's eyes catch on a bird's skeleton, curiosity sparking. "What's this, Mommy?" he asks, innocent yet profound. Nova's heart aches with the weight of the timeline. This child, their future, depends on them correcting the past. She knows then, with crystal clarity, that they must change the course of history. For him, for all of them. The barren land around them is a stark reminder. They must act, and they must succeed. Determined like never before, She agrees to journey back in time. Nova insists on returning to the exact spot where she left Nas and the others. She's decided. This time she'll be direct with young Simon. Nova reappears before Nas and Claire, asking if they missed her, even though she was only gone a minute. Without wasting time, Nova and Nas head for the North Pole. They arrive and swiftly change into all-white outfits, blending into the icy landscape. They spot Simon and his father addressing a crowd. During the speech, Simon, swayed by Nova's words, hesitates about their plan. But his father? Relentless. He's hell-bent on drilling the North Pole. Suddenly, chaos erupts. The kids have used their guns to slow the guards, and panic spreads through the audience. Nova warns them again, this plan is a disaster waiting to happen. But Simon's father, stubborn as a mule, moves to activate the drilling machine. Nova springs into action. With precision, she shoots the old man in the drill's mechanism, halting their progress. Simon, overwhelmed and devastated, crumbles. He keeps repeating how sorry he is, how he should have trusted Nova. It's a mess of regret, chaos, and a race against time, but Nova stands firm. This fight is far from over. Nova and Nas depart after his change of heart, leaving a sense of unresolved tension in the air. Later, Nova drops Nas off at Alton's house. A handshake and a hug mark their farewell. Nas, curious and hopeful, asks if they'll meet again. Nova's reply? A tantalizing, maybe. Alton then appears, holding a surprise that sends a jolt through Nas. He has repaired Ad. With a mix of gratitude and sadness, Nova boards her ship and heads back to the future. Now on good terms with Alton and Claire, Nas freely enters the spare room, only to be startled by a detective's car approaching the house. The tension escalates as Claire interrogates Nas about the spaceships seen around the world. Are they all from the future? Nas confirms, adding that they'll return if necessary. He also drops the bombshell that Nova has permanently returned to her timeline. Claire, seemingly satisfied, releases Nas and returns his quad bike. As he mounts the bike, his heart races when he spots a car with the present Nova in the back seat. Without hesitation, a joyful Nas follows the car, knowing that their paths are destined to cross again. The future is uncertain, but the hope of reunion keeps him going, driving him towards whatever comes next.